Welcome back to Anger, Sadness, and Envy, the Rampancy podcast. I'm Narcogen from Bungie fansite rampancy.net.
And I'm Blackstar Productions, and here we're watching Bungie's latest trailer of Destiny.
Right, this is the gameplay trailer called The Moon, and we're not looking at the moon there, we're looking at the Traveler from the tower in the city. A couple of birds there. I noticed, again, ambient light. This is a neat shot, although I'm not sure if that's accurate, but the skeleton inside the spacesuit I thought was cool.
Reminds me of Final Fantasy from 2001.
And now we're looking at the Hellmouth, which is where the Hive live inside the moon.
Ooh.
Within the core of our moon.
And it's very dark in there. No.
Are we sure they're not Nazis?
No, we're not sure they're not Nazis. It could be. You watched Iron Sky lately?
Yes, I did. That's what made me think of it. Hey, look, it's the Normandy.
Yep, personal spaceships.
Everybody has to have one.
And now aside from the scripted demo, this is, I don't know if you'd really call this gameplay. I don't know if this is people playing the game. This looks pretty scripted to me. But it's obviously...
I like the bones.
It's obviously in-engine, and I think that's what they mean. And so these enemies are the Hive. They kind of remind me of fast-moving Thrall.
Look very Doom-like. Yeah.
That guy looks very interesting, this flying one.
Hmm.
Now, you think that dive move is a gameplay move, this slide?
Oh, it would be interesting if it was. People would use that like crazy. Yeah, this is very Doom-like.
Actually, that looked to me more Gears of War-like. It looked very much, yeah, like the Berserker.
Oh, really? Oh.
Okay, but that's not all to talk about. We went from it being leaked that there was a beta from something somebody saw on the Amazon website to, yes, pre-order starting October 3rd, and you will get beta codes.
Wow.
And the beta starts in the spring. So the countdown has started. It looks like, we're looking at what, maybe April, May? Maybe you could stretch spring out to be June.
Wow, shut up and take my money.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming. I'm actually getting kind of excited for it. Because I haven't really played a lot of Bungie multiplayer really since the Halo 3 beta.
Yeah, that was a while back.
Yeah, I was in the Reach beta, but I did not play it much. And actually, after the game came out, I played very little Reach at all. I'm not even sure I ever played one game before Reach.
So this will be something special for everyone out there, including Narcogen.
Firefight, I thought, was a way of squeezing in the multiplayer and solo modes of Halo play into a single thing. And so it was a bunch of compromises. The level areas were on the multiplayer scale. It was part of the campaign area, but not a big area, and you couldn't leave. And It was arcade-like waves of enemy, and it was a lot of fun, and that was very well done. But it wasn't built from the ground up to be like that.
Right, and as such, it did have its flaws. I mean, I loved it personally. I wish I could have done more of it. I wish more people were into it. But yeah, the constant repetition and single locality of it, just after a while, it just completely wore down on you, where the repetition was just unending. It was a tide that never ebbed, and unfortunately that is not really conducive of flowing and scalable, enjoyable gameplay for some people.
They've announced something that's very interesting, the idea that, the core experience will be built around the possibility of 1 to 3 people in a fire team. It's not just like Master Chief and the Arbiter and like a random elite, it's not like somebody's the hero and somebody's the, somebody gets to play Tonto or something like that. It's built around that, and there won't be any difference between the regular play and the solo play or the co-op play. Like Firefight was a totally different thing from normal co-op play. Destiny's play will be co-op all the time. It'll be co-op, like even solo is really just one player co-op.
Right. I'm wondering, can they not afford new capes, or is the cape store out? Because this guy's cape seemed really ratty.
I think it's part of what they want to set for the tone. Is that this is humanity at the at its lowest ebb here. That things are not doing well.
We can't have nice things.
Yeah, we don't. Well, we don't have nice things. I guess the object. I mean, if this is going to be loot based like World of Warcraft, then the object of the game is to find nice things.
Our cape technology is light years behind the competition.
And they've revived the podcast as well. And they spent a whole hour talking about weapons, about how weapon system is going to be different.
Who wants to talk about anything else?
3 weapon systems. I think they did say, we were talking last time about whether or not weapons would drop, and I said weapons won't drop when you die. I think certain heavy weapons will drop ammo when you die. So there will be an incentive for you to. I think it's an incentive for you to attack a player who has a heavy weapon.
Well, see, that's the thing, and that's what made me think that everyone's simply going to prey on everyone else to get whatever better gun somebody has, and we're all going to degrade into this, assassinating and camping strategy to try and level up quicker.
I think the idea is going to be a little bit more of the way Mass Effect multiplayer works, in the sense that like you have guns that you've chosen and upgraded and customized, and they're yours and they're named, and it's going to be part of your game to work well with the guns you have, but you're not going to drop all the guns you have on the floor and suddenly somebody else is going to be carrying your guns around. It's not like all the guns are the same. They're all similar, and they're all different examples of the same weapon classes. Shotguns, assault rifle, rocket launchers, that kind of stuff. But they're all going to be unique, and so killing a player to take his weapon, I think, is not going to be a major part of the strategy.
I would hope not.
The way it is in Halo. I think there will still be reasons to execute map control, but they won't be so focused around power weapon drops and that kind of stuff.
The other thing that I was thinking about is why he has a breathing tube seeming to go into the back of his neck.
Where?
Well, in the last frame.
Oh, in the last.
See the character. He appears to be facing away, looking at the giant ball, and it looks like there's a hose and whatnot that normally would be like the place where your nose would be, but this is the back of his skull, so I don't know why he would need that there. But that must catch on his cape all the time. That must be frustrating.
I'm not sure.
No, the other thing I was going to say is it just me, or does it look like the hive actually looks like the spit on steroids? Because they're all bigger and muscular, and yet they have the 3-eye locale.
You mean the 4?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the 4. Sorry, I had the spit on the brain because the floaty guy. Yeah, he actually it was reminiscent of the spit. That floaty guy with the cape with the evil, magical powers. He looks like a spit.
Yeah, he does look kind of like a compiler. Actually, there was an enemy in Quake 1 that kind of looked like that. This kind of gray thing. Yeah. It didn't have a full body. It was kind of like a floating torso.
Yeah, they've definitely gone out of their way to make them look evil and ominous and vicious and dark and nasty, as opposed to just being another race that just happens to be bent on destruction.
Right.
I mean, I never got that feeling very much from the elites, let alone the grunts, or the brutes were like close to it. But I mean, they were sitting in council meetings sometimes. I can't see these guys all hanging around talking politics.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that definitely seems to be an element where they really want to say these are really bad
again,
guys.
That's why I think they're leaning a little bit more towards some of the fantasy elements, in the sense that this may not necessarily be a fully rounded, realistic world. They talk about these guys like these are monsters and you are heroes. It's not like this is a clash of civilizations. It's like there are monsters on the dark side of the moon. That's kind of what they're getting at here.
Exactly.
You're right. I don't think we're not going to.
Nazis.
We're not going to be talking about the. We're not going to be talking about the foreign policy of the hive. I think probably not.
No, not at all.
Maybe.
So if we can get these in before the end of the 4th quarter, we could see if they vote on. Yeah, I just
maybe
can't see
some of the
happening.
other enemies will be like that, or some of the other characters or groups of characters we encounter will be like that. But these are straight up,
maybe
monsters hiding in a dark hole. Look at 104. Actually, there's this guy with a sword. Kind of got some army. Kind of looks like a brute,
I was
almost.
Like,
not as big
there
around.
were a bunch of characters that looked like brutes, and I was kind of like, wait a minute, swords, really? But then again, people have been playing around with swords for forever. The weapons, especially the sights on some of the weapons, they do look very, modern day stuff that you would get around here. And strangely enough, there was one weapon that looked almost exactly like a plasma rifle. I get a feeling that Bungie's kind of a rut, but when it was firing, if you actually look at it frame by frame, it fires what appears to be a straight blade type thing being propelled by a rocket or plasma or some type of exhaust, and that was kind of interesting. So it doesn't seem to be actually firing energy bolts. It's actually firing some type of physical bladed weapon flying at you, and that's kind of scary when you think about it. The other thing is, if you look really, really close, in the couple frames shortly after that, you get a close-up of the character with the 3 eyes and the helmet firing that weapon in the right hand, and in his left hand, there are spikes through his forearm, and what appears to be a spike through his left leg. And okay, it's through his left arm and right arm too, actually. There are actual spikes, and that kind of brings us into like Reaver territory, of self-mutilation, and that's kind of you. It seems very evil.
I'm looking at the scene now with all the bones. It does make it look a lot like what was inside the Tane in Myth. When you go inside there, and the Mercuria are in there under these pyramids of skulls.
How do you rot a corpse on the moon? There's
supposed to have been, human settlement on the moon in the past. So, that's, I guess, would be the source of all the bones.
So maybe they ate them. Ew.
I guess I don't know whether the Hellmouth itself was something that the Hive built, or was just something of humans that they took over.
One other thing I noticed is actually the construction of the door. You remember the giant door scene shortly thereafter? Does that door look familiar?
Oh, they're always doors with 3 doors made out of 3 parts. Yeah, obviously. Maybe that's Jones's thing. Who knows? Yeah, I think the only game that doesn't have that is that Marathon doesn't have that, only because it was probably too hard to do.
Probably, it would have broken the flamethrower. But the environments and everything, they look fantastic. I love the little floating, glowing balls behind you to illuminate your way, rather than actually having flashlights on your weapons or stuck to your helmets like they, usually do. They have something that looks like, it looks like it's straight out of Tron, actually. You remember Bit?
Everybody's going to have their own personal Guilty Spark type character who's going to talk to you and is going to help you open doors and flip switches and that kind of stuff. And
it looks like Bit's falling behind you. That's kind of cool. Yeah, the magic elements, I really hope that there's a technological base behind it where, rather than either a religious or a nature or, some other force behind it. And if it is actually the Traveler that's providing these powers and whatnot, I really hope he has a technological base for it too. So
they have said that basically the powers are given to you by the Traveler. And I think the idea of calling it magic is probably just as a result of the diminished stature and technological capacity of humanity that's been, rocked back to the Middle Ages, so to speak.
Right. That would be fine.
These amazing powers which are given to certain guardians by the Traveler would appear to everyone to be magic.
I could totally see them incorporating and making sense to me. No, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. But if we start getting in a circle and having to start putting Wicca symbols on stuff to charge up and stuff, that's going to be weird. And the company that brought you Call of Duty.
Yeah, I gotta admit that really bugs me.
Wordy.
I realize, it's a huge deal. This 10-year publishing contract is a big deal, and obviously Activision is a big deal. But it really looks pathetic to me whenever I see that. They say from the creators of Halo. I'm like, yes, we know Bungie did create Halo. And then
from
the company
uncle,
that
sister's cousin's former roommate of the guy who worked on the box art for Miss Pac-Man.
Like the guy who drove, the guy who drives
wow.
the truck to the store is also bringing you Call of Duty, technically speaking.
Yeah, I know.
And that's kind of how it sounds to me. It's like
he works for UPS,
and the money that brings you, the money that underwrites that franchise that, has nearly imploded due to lawsuits.
Brought to you by your FedEx driver. Wow. Yeah, it just.
And the company that brought you the
say,
good Call of Duty games,
right?
Forget those other ones.
How about from Bungie, the makers of Halo, and Activision, that's the thing. See, Activision didn't create it, so I guess they have to word it in a way that actually makes sense. Like Activision didn't really make it because it was made by somebody else.
Right.
It
wasn't even just made by somebody else. It's made by somebody else's, and Activision doesn't make anything.
Right, exactly. So presented.
I don't know, executive producer, whatever kind of credit you want, I guess. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll give him a title.
Well, publisher. They're publisher. I don't know why they don't say and the publishers of Call of Duty. They, at least that's the truthful statement you can say. What does it mean that brought you? I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
UPS brings me Call of Duty. I don't know what they're talking about. Before we close, we should give a shout out to Joe Staten, who's leaving Bungie after 15 years.
Joe, why? Don't leave me now. It's been so long.
I don't know. At least he did. I mean, he didn't say what everybody always says.
Time with my family. Oh,
Just I'm quitting to spend more time with my family. I mean, maybe that's why he didn't say that. He talked about some new adventure, whether that means another company or whether that means some kind of personal thing that he's going to do that doesn't have anything to do with video games. I don't know, but
Joe, thank you so much for all that you've done, for all the work you've put into, for all the sacrifices you've made. We have enjoyed your work immensely. Thank you.
I know it's interesting. Certainly, he's already had a lot of influence on Destiny, and I'm sure that we'll continue to see his influence probably over the whole franchise, because I've no doubt that they've set up a lot of stuff. It's not like Halo where, you know, they made one game and then it became this huge thing. I think they intend this to be a huge thing from the start.
I mean, this is the time where you want to get feedback from people. We're gonna, after this, go back to Seattle and close this sucker down. So this is our time, and we're gonna try to make the most of it.
Okay, so I think that's it for now, and join us next time where we will go back to our Let's Play series of Marathon 2.
Can we watch it again?